Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you. I know that always makes people nervous. I hate to say that, hear that, like, can you really see me? I'm in my PJs. Well, what do we have going on today, Mr. Nixon?
All right, well, good morning, everybody. I hope things are going well for you guys as we're kind of transitioning into what's, being out and about more and open houses and everything. What we're going to cover today is how to do a CMA, comparative market analysis. I'm going to walk you through the way I do it and show you the tools that you get through My Real Source and Paragon. If you have any questions, enter them in. I'll try to keep up with them as best I can, and we'll go from there.
Debbie, about that, Chris. I'll be in the background. I've got your back, so I'll be back here.
So hopefully when we get going, we're going to pull up my home screen on My Real Source, and I'm just going to walk you through several things and show you how to do a CMA. So with that, we're going to get going. I'm going to click my camera off.
So we are ready to go. Actually, Chris, you want to throw out that first poll, my one and only poll? We will. All right, here we go. One poll in process. Let's just get a feel for the class. So have you created your Cloud CMA account? Excellent. Okay, we've got about half of the classes voted, and it's split right down the middle, 50-50. Okay. Alrighty, so actually there's a lot of people that have not created that Cloud CMA account. So go ahead, I'll just share those results because that's a 60-40. So I believe, actually I will try to send y'all a video on how to set that up too, after the class too. All right, okay, back to you, Chris, thank you.
Okay, I am going to click off the camera button here, and my screen should appear, which should already have my logged into Paragon. So enjoy the webinar. Okay, so this is your basic, when you log in a Real Source, this is what you're going to see. Configured a little differently. If you remember from the orientation class, we can change our Paragon screens as needed. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you a quick overview of Cloud CMA, and it's over here under Resources. And if you click on that, you should get a drop-down screen. And then right here is Cloud CMA. Click on Cloud CMA. And it will take you to the home page for Cloud CMA. These are the CMAs. You can do buyer tours from here. We're not going to show you that. Property flyers, home beat, some other stuff, some really cool things that are in here. But for right now, if you come over here to where your icon is, it'll either be a picture or it might just be a round circle with your initials in it. If you click on that, so you're going to find a couple of things. The first is your account settings. If you change brokers or if you're new, you just always want to go through and make sure this stuff is all updated. Your email, I recently changed my email address, so across all my real estate tool engines, I had to come back and check, make sure all my emails were the same. City, state, you can save your profile. You can change your avatar here. I upgraded my photo. I had an older photo in there, and about 3 months ago, I had some new photos taken and added, so I changed all that. So this is where you can do it all on this page. Check your contact info right here. This is what appears. The mobile and email appear at the bottom of any CMAs you put out. You can add stuff to it if you would like. You can put in a blog if you have, a Facebook page, office phone, Twitter. If you are real heavy into social media, you can add all those down below, and those will all appear at the bottom when you put on a CMA to a client. Your MLS credentials, custom pages, which we're going to come back to a little later on, integrations and billing. So right now, the only things you really need to worry about is contact info and your custom pages. This is all how I want it across any CMAs or anything I do in Cloud CMA. So we're going to go back here to Paragon and actually get going. If you haven't had this set up, Debbie's going to send out, as she said, some email for you guys to give you walk you through how to set up getting Cloud CMA set up for you. So here we are at Paragon. So you're at home, and through your marketing efforts and everything else, you get a call from somebody that says, "Hey, Chris, I'm thinking of having my home listed. I'd like to have you come out and talk to me." And you say, "All right, well, I'm going to prepare a CMA. A CMA is not an appraisal. You want to make sure to cover yourself when you do do a CMA, to make sure that is listed somewhere in your presentation that this is not an appraisal, and make sure you point that out to different people, to your potential clients. So they call you up and they say, and you agree to meet. So you want to do a CMA before you get there. But the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure of the address, who the owners are, and everything else. So we go to our tax up here, and we'll do a tax search, a quick tax search. Go to BSA and online. If you run the BSA line search, BSA online search from Paragon, and you go to municipality, if you're a member through My Real Source, you typically, in some communities, may have to pay a $2 fee that should be waived. You shouldn't have to pay if you're going through My Real Source to do the BSNA search. If you just go to BSNA on your own and try to log in, you may have to pay that $2 fee. Some municipalities require it. There's a couple of reasons why you want to do this tax search. I already looked earlier, so I'm already Macomb County, Macomb Township. But if I wasn't, you would select a municipality, and they all come up here. You just type in Macomb, and the different ones come up. We want Macomb Township, not Macomb County. If you know the person's name, you can type their name in here. If you were searching by name or parcel number or address, we're going to search by address. And the average address I'm looking up today is 55896 Placid. You don't need the drive in there. It is Placid Drive, but it'll pull it up. Here's the property right here. I see that it's just got a single name in it, Wendy. And this is good to know, because sometimes you're going out there and you see two names on there, perhaps a husband and a wife, or somebody that it's in a trust. You want to make sure that you're dealing with the people whose name is on the title, or if it's a trust situation or something similar to that, that they have that they're listed in the trust as the people able to act in charge of the trust and sign for it. I have had cases where I've gone out there and it was a call from one of the two parties in a marriage. I noticed there were two names on the title, and when I got to the table, only one person was there. And I said, hey, where's the other person? And they said, oh, they're out of town. They'll be back in a couple weeks, but it's all right, I can sell the house. Well, no, you really can't. And you'll need both signatures on all the documents. And you kind of don't want to waste your time if both people aren't going to be there. So anyways, that's why you start here. We see that it is just one person. I'm going to open this up, and this is where you'll find all this is public record data, PRD. So it's not like you're creeping on somebody, or anybody can get this information. They don't have to be a realtor, but this is just a quick way for you to find it. You'll see the year it was built. And the other reason you want to pull up all this information is this is going to be the basis for which to do your criteria, your search criteria back in Real Source, so that you know to make sure you're pulling up similar listings. So we see it was built in 2003. The square foot is 2860. Down here, it's a 2 bath, 1 half bath. That's 3 fixture bath is a full bathroom. So 2 full baths, 1 half bath. It does have a basement because it says the size of the foundation right here. It gives you a little bit more information so that you can start comparing similar homes within an area. Now, I happen to know this sub, so this is one of those subs where there were 4 or 5 models to pick from. So, chances are in this particular subdivision, you're going to find a lot of similar homes. If you're in Warren, parts of Warren, older parts of Shelby Township, before the builders started building all the homes the same, you might really need this information to dive into a little more, because you don't want to be comparing a ranch with a colonial or something similar like that. And that's where this information is from BSNA is going to help you to load your search criteria. So we got our basic information here that we know. We know there's actually 2 names. Wendy Kramer and Alice Miller are both here. So if that called me, I would call her up and say, by the way, who's Alice? Well, that's my mother. Well, if you're going to talk about selling the house, Alice needs to be there as well, because she's going to have to sign all the paperwork. And you'll have to figure out what's going to go on with all that. This tells me right here that there are 2 names on there. So that I'm going to want to make sure both those people are there if I'm going to present a CMA. And if you remember, right here it says property owner is just the one name. And when you actually go down to owner and taxpayer information, that's when you see both names appear. And that's what you're checking right here. I know that there's going to be an Alice and a Wendy. I don't know if it's a mother, daughter, or you know, two sisters, or however that is, but both those people are going to have to sign any documents if you go into a listing CMA that turns into getting a listing. So you have all the information. While I'm here, I also check the tax information to make sure there aren't any outstanding taxes. You'll be surprised when you go to some homes, and several of these years will be in red. Maybe they're way behind on the taxes. Maybe they don't know. I don't know, but I make sure I'm as knowledgeable as possible about the property before I get there. I also, in some municipalities, check the building department to see if there's any outstanding permits before I get there, before I do this, when I show up for the CMA. And the reason I want to do that is sometimes people pulled, for instance, a deck permit and they never got it finalized, or the municipality didn't finalize it. Well, that's still sitting out there. And you don't want to list a home and then right before you go to closing, we find out that there's an issue with a permit that came along or something like that, and then it could mess up your closing. So I always check these different tabs up here just to make sure everything is where it needs to be. Kind of something I have in the back of my mind, because if I'm giving somebody a CMA, I'm doing it with the intent to turn it into a listing. So usually if I'm going to somebody's house, this is a side note, to do a CMA, I've also prepared a listing packet before I get there. And I'm taking that along with me as well. And I'll handwrite in the amount and everything else if need be. I may not need it right then. I might need it in 2 weeks after they think about it, but I'm going to that CMA presentation also with the listing presentation in my briefcase. Because if they like my numbers and they want to list and they say yes, I'm having them sign it right there. So I want to make sure that I know as much about the property as possible before I get there. So today's class is all about preparing a CMA. We have our basic information. So we're going to go back to Paragon, and with that, we're going to do a search. Come up here. It's a residential search. This is just the basics. We're going to search all the actives, the sold, and the pendings. I don't do expireds when I do a CMA. Just to kind of see what's going to come up. We can always narrow it down later. I'm only going to go back 6 months, see what happened in that area. The square footage, I don't know, most of the homes in that sub are pretty good. Let's see how many come in. Most of the homes in that sub are all the same. Before I really start narrowing it down, I'm going to do the map search to see how many are even in that area and kind of see where we're at. And so for map search, I'm sorry, I went quickly there. In your criteria, you come down by map search, this where it says search by map, and we have to put in an address. So you enter your address right here, and it is 55896 Placid. When you click on the magnifying glass, it'll take you there and center that. I kind of see that this is a little subdivision here, not a lot over here or over here, so I'm not going to do the typical radius search. I like to draw mine. I'm just going to come in here and do a quick little draw, basically in this one little sub right here. And it shows me that I have 24 properties. That's 24 properties is an awful lot. So I'm going to come back to my criteria and say, all right, let me narrow this down a little bit here. Oops, wrong one. Let me narrow it down a little bit. Now I'm going to start, the first thing I'm going to narrow it down by is by the square footage, the above grade square foot. I know from the tax records that it's a 2,800 square foot home, so I'm going to go 2,500 to 2,900 to see what comes up. That took my number down to 7. 7 is a good number to do a CMA on. Appraisers need 4 similar properties. I'm going to go with the 7 that I have here. That's good enough for a search, and I'm going to click on the search. It brings up those 7 properties. All of them are closed, which is even better, because in a CMA, you don't want to actives are nice to include in a CMA to kind of show them what the current market is being listed at. But the thing that's going to determine the price value of a home most is the closed properties. That's what appraisers really look at. So you can open up each one of these, kind of see what they look like, go through the photos. If you know the property, that's great. If you've been to the property before, it's a friend of the family's or something like that, you kind of know what the interior looks like. It's not necessarily bad to do a drive-by to kind of see the property before you go out there if you have the time. This gives you an idea of, by looking at the photos, what the sold properties look like, so that when you go to the actual property and walk around, you'll kind of see where they fit in your price compared to the other homes that have sold. If it's not as nice, if the upgrades aren't the same, you certainly want to make that adjustment when you're talking to them regarding price. This is a 2.5 car garage, which I believe is what the house we're looking at is. Looking real quick. They have a pool. See, this home has a pool in the backyard. So we may not want to include that one because it's pending right now and it has the pool. So we won't probably include that one. This looks like a pretty good home. Another one. So in other words, do a little search here and kind of see how this would line up to your properties that you're looking at. So once you've decided the properties you're going to use, I'm just going to pick a couple here. When you open up the first property and I look at it, if I like it, I can check in this little box right here. That makes it a check property. After I go to number 2, I don't like it. I scroll through number 3. I do like it. So on and so forth. And let's say you like that one, but forget to check the box in this one. When you come back to your main one, you see those 2 that I already checked are in green. That means they're checked properties. And I forgot, I forgot to click on these 2 right here. So I'm going to click on both those. So now I have 5 properties that I'm going to use for my CMA. And the good thing is that Cloud CMA will automatically pull all these into your CMA. So to only have these 5 properties pulled in, you come up here where it says checked and click on that. And now it eliminates the other properties you weren't interested in. One of the things I also like to do at this point is save the search. I like to save the search so that if I come back for whatever reason, I have all those properties in there, even the ones that I didn't select. I also like to do it when there are several active in there, I can follow up later on with the client if need be. So you can come in here, hit save search as, name it what you want. I normally named up mine CMA 8-20-21. And if you know the person's last name, however you want to title it so you can find it later on this is going to be saved under your searches. Last name was Kramer. And then I'm going to save that. Now, if anything happens in the middle of preparing my CMA, or later on, if I want to come back to these houses and check things, I can always pull up this information. So here we are. We have the 5 homes that are there. We know the people's names who are going to be there. From BS&A, right here, owner information, Alice Miller. So now let's actually go and do the CMA itself. You have your properties. You come up to here under this search and you have all these buttons here. We're going to go to the action button right here. It's one that looks like a little, is that a plug, I guess, Debbie? Yeah, a little plug. We'll click on action, and we're going to go to a Cloud CMA right there. Click on Cloud CMA from the actions. It automatically takes you right to Cloud CMA and begins creating the CMA report for this project. So now I know the 2 names are Wendy Kramer and Alice Miller. If you wanted to put some private notes in here, you can. When you put private notes on, nobody will see that information. It just pulls up the CMA. It just shows in the private notes whenever you pull up a CMA that they're there. It doesn't get published, but it helps you jog your memory of something. Like, let's say you were referred by somebody on this property, you want to put it in there, or if they told you when they're looking to sell, or whatever you want to put in your private notes, they, as it says right here, don't appear in the report. It just appears on screen for you. The address of the subject property is put it in, start typing it in, and usually it self-loads. Right here it is, 55896 Placer Drive in Macomb. You click on that, and it's showing, well, it's got more than one bedroom, that's for sure. I think it's a 3-bedroom home. The number of bedrooms are not shown, but you can come and change that. It's not shown on the tax reports, the number of bedrooms, only the number of baths. The baths is correct. The 2860 square foot matches what we have on the public record data from the taxes. It is a residential property, no subtypes. You can put in advanced info here. If you know the lot size and you want to add it in, you can. The year built, the taxes, garage area, you can add all that in there if you want to. If you did a quick drive-by and wanted to add the cover photo, now would be the time to pull it in there so that the report has a little more customized look on the front. If not, it puts in a generic overhead map view of the property. In this case, we're just going to leave it generic. Down below here, it says, how do you want to get comparative listings? The quick and dirty by proxy. I don't recommend that you use this because it really doesn't filter out the homes at all. It just pulls in kind of similar homes using logarithms that Cloud CMA has for you. I prefer using the exact listing method right here. And those, as I showed you, were automatically pulled over after we did our search. So when I hit fetch listings, if nothing was here, it would automatically do one of these. I'm not a fan of this, I'll be honest with you. I always try to do my listings first. I check which ones I want to bring in here. I click fetch listings. And now the system will take me right to the actual preparing the CMA. Every CMA, when you go to it, is always the same. You'll see criteria, listings, customize, and publish up here on the top. The one that is grayed out is always the current page you're in. The other green ones are ones you can jump to. You also notice that the next heading, customize, is also right here. You could click on this and it'll take you to customize. So we're in the listings part. It's going to show you the home. If at the time you knew what price you wanted to put in there, you could. Some agents, when they do a CMA, don't believe in putting the price, actual hard price in there and leaving a hard price for them because they don't want the clients to have that information. They like discussing a range of prices and letting them kind of come to their own conclusion as to where they want to be priced at. They don't want to put a hard number in there, especially if they haven't seen the property. There's nothing, you want to do worse than put a hard number in there and get out and find out that they have a bunch of upgrades that you didn't know about, which might add more to the value of the property, or put a number in there based on the photos that you looked at the comparable properties, and you get there and they haven't maintained the inside of the house. It's still the basic builder's primer color on all the walls. They never updated to granite, and everybody else in the neighborhood has granite. Now you got a number and you're trying to talk back down on it. So it's up to you if you want to put a price in here. If you click right here where it says price guide and net sheet, it gives you a suggested range right now based on your comps of where you should be at. And then the net sheet helps you it prepares a net sheet for you here if you wanted to include that in your report. The first thing is you're going to have title insurance. Talk to your title person, say, hey, if I'm selling a house in this range, what would it be? And they give you the amount, we'll say $1,200, and you hit save. Now it gives you another line. You have the transfer tax, which is $8.10 per thousand. I usually I show it a little more in detail than this, but we can go in there and The range is 479 to 5. So if we went with, I'm going to put 475 right up here so we can see. We went with 475,000 times. Your transfer tax would be $3,848. So we'll put that in here. Hit save. You have commissions that you got to put in there. I personally like to put listing broker commission at 3%. At 3%, and so 14,250. I like breaking the two commissions apart because sometimes you're trying to explain why you're getting 6%, but half goes to the broker or listing broker, half goes to the selling broker. So then I'm going to say selling broker. They can see it. It makes my argument usually a little easier when I'm sitting there trying to say I'm not getting 6%. It's being split up. They can see it right here if that's what indeed what you're doing. Oops. Save that. If you have any kind of broker's fee or transaction fee, you would add that in there. The one thing I forgot in the net sheet is mortgage payoff if they don't already own the home outright. Now let's say they still own $250,000 on the property, and you hit save. Now, the way I like to do things, I would like the mortgage payoff first, right before the title insurance. As you see, I added it at the end. If you just come here with on the side, I hope you can see them. There are these three gray dots. If you just click here, you can move it up in any order you want. And this is how it'll appear on the net sheet that's included for you. So we're going to leave it just as that at a $475,000 suggested price. And here's some other things right here. Here's the order of the properties as they showed up. You can, if you all of a sudden decided you want to add one more, you can click add a listing, go back and pull in that MLS number and put it in here, it'll pull it in. These are all closed. You can select the sort option here by beds, bath, days on market, list price, all this other stuff, sold price. I want them listed by sold price. This is highest to lowest, and this is lowest to highest. So I want them in that order. If you wanted to go to and make details and adjustments to the prices, you could. I don't typically, in an area where all the homes are kind of the same, I don't typically go in and make adjustments. You can, but I don't adjust for a basement or anything else like that. I use that as a talking point when I'm sitting down with the client trying to figure out where their home should be. Again, you're not trying to do an appraisal, you're just trying to give them a general idea of what the market is saying their home is worth in the area. So this all looks pretty good here. There's a couple things I can do. I can either just click on customize here or hit customize report, and it'll take you actually to the preparation of the report. And here's where CMA is great. There are a couple things that I'll show you up here. First, on your CMA report, you have different themes you can choose. You have the modern right here, different colors. You have the traditional ones here. If you work for a company whose logos are red and blue, you can go to red and blue right here, and then you'll kind of have those different colors around on your report. Come through, you can change these, see how your report looks. If you don't like it, you can always come back, change it again, and you can play with it before it's published. I use a modern blue and silver, so I'm going to leave it at choose that theme. And while that's loading, you'll see we have a layout. This affects the pages where you can have a photo with the map, 2 photos, the photo with the max data, 2-column comparison, 3, 4. Again, you can play with these different pages and see how you like it. Go through and do one on your own home and play with the feel and the look of it to see what you're gonna like. I like the photo with max data. The cover, right now, these, in order to get some of these other covers, you have to get the premium Cloud CMA. I don't subscribe to the premium one, so I'm just going to get the standard cover. The nice thing about Cloud CMA is you can change the fonts that you want all your writing to be in as well. So you have a little leeway to customize how your reports look. Otherwise, it'll all just stay with the default. Template, it's going to pull up a default template unless you already have some loaded. The biggest thing I'm going to tell you about templates is the default template pretty much loads all this stuff in, all these different pages in. It'd be like 30 some pages. If you get to a template size that you like, you're going to have to save that and then pull it up each time you start a CMA and then resave it again. Otherwise, if you go out and come back, it's going to automatically go to the default template. I'll cover that a little more in the end. For right now, we're going to leave the default template in. Here are the different content, or kind of like think of them as chapters that you can have in your CMA. You have your introduction, you have your listing, you can include more photos. Anything with a plus by it, if you click on it, pulls it into your CMA. There's an analyst chapter, online value analysis. This, I think, is like a must-have report, and I'll explain to you why. We're going to put it in later on. You have a closings section, you have a guidance. All these things here, if you click on them, are preloaded kind of boilerplate language that can help you, especially if you're an agent that hasn't been doing a lot of CMAs. It gives you talking points. Don't just include them all because there's a lot of them, but there may be some information in here that you could talk off of. The one I always use is CMA versus an appraisal. It helps explain what a CMA is, okay? If you had testimonials and were collecting them, you could put the testimonials in. And then, of course, custom pages, okay, which we're going to get to in a minute. The power packs down below, you have to be a premium member to get those, and same with the Tom Ferry stuff. So here's how your report is going to look right here in this order. You have your title page. You can click right here on the heading, and it'll show you what the title page is going to look like. Here's that generic report photo. It shows you the home right here. Here's the address. Wendy Kramer and Alice Miller. Always double check this and make sure you didn't spell it wrong. There's nothing worse than sitting down with the CMA and realizing right when you lay it in front of them that this was spelled wrong. People aren't happy about that. The date, you cannot change the date. It automatically prints the date that it was run. So if you're going on a CMA tomorrow and you run it today, it'll say August 24th. If you run it tomorrow morning, it'll say August 25th on there. That's one thing I don't like. You can have all the information set up ahead of time, but if you're actually going to publish it, you want to publish it the day of, so that date is correct. It shows your logo and my name and the Realty Group that we all took care of back on our home when we went up here in our settings and changed everything. So this is what the cover page looked like. If you had a home photo, this is where it would drop in here instead of showing the overhead map photo with the star representing where the house is. The cover letter, if you did a cover letter, this is something I copied and pasted. It automatically loaded it in here. I don't want this in here, so I'm going to remove it. I don't want my agent resume in there. There's a little bit about our company in there. If you want to leave that in, you can. You can create your own page. Just click on the edit and you can add all that in. I don't like to put a lot of stuff in my CMA. Other people do, so you can add what you want in here. The big thing I like to get to is what is a CMA? It explains in here kind of what a CMA is all about. And there are just talking points in here that help you to talk to your client when you're sitting there presenting this to them. You have your contact me page. And again, this all came off of what we put up here when we went in on our account settings. Here are the two items I had was my cell phone and my email. I could have my Facebook account, my Twitter account, my LinkedIn account. I could dump all that in there too, and it would appear right here. I have my company logo in here. There's a place on your account settings to load up your company logo as well. And up in the corner, it'll say comparative market analysis and always the address on all the pages. Here's the map of all the listings. And remember that order we set them in? It's going to appear in that order that we set in the first page. It's going to show you the map of the homes plus where their subject property is in the purple. Right here is the purple house, and there it is right there, so they can see that. And then listing chapters. The Cloud CMA puts in these headings for some of the chapters. I personally am not a fan of them. I don't like to show up with a 40-page CMA to somebody's house. They tend not to look through them all. You have to hopefully know your clients a little bit. I like less is more, in my opinion. I get rid of things like listing chapters. On the listing, here you have the details page, which remember I said max data, so I have one photo and then information about the house. And then if the remarks carried on to the second page, you would see the second page. You could also have the first dozen photos or so that would show up. The problem with the first dozen photos and why I stopped using this page, see how it only loads a dozen photos. You got the yard photos, and then you got all these basically of the foyer and the staircase. You don't see any more of the house. And because this agent did a really good job of showing with a lot of photographs, many photographs of kind of the same area, so you get a good feel for the home. I would like the client to see more of the homes. This automatically downloads the photos as they appear in the listing ticket. You can't alter that. When I see this, I don't really want to show my client because they'll be like, well, what's the kitchen look like? What's the bathrooms look like? And you can't see it here. The only other way you can see it is if you included back up here under analysis, under listings, more photos. Now you're going to get all the rest of the photos. Again, this is where you start getting a really, really long CMA with a whole lot of photos. I have this loaded on my computer, so when I go to meet with them, if they want to see more of the photos, I'll bring it up on my computer. I'll bring it up on my computer and show them that way. Let me see. It should. It had to load in those photos, even though I added up the page. It should pull it up now without me having to go all the way out and reload it. There you go. So now you're going to see all the photos. Photos first dozen on one page. See, I didn't save it. Oh, color letter. Let me get that back in there again. Sorry for this. Come on. Doesn't load up. It'll show it once I save it and come back to it. Okay, it's trying to load them because there's a lot there. We'll just move on. If I had done adjustments, it would show the adjustments here. And because it's a blank page, I don't want it there in my CMA, so I'm going to get rid of it. Here's an analyst chapter. Again, that's just a single page. I don't like it because they're not tabbed, so it doesn't show up any differently. Go through each one of these. You have the comparable property statistics, which will show there were 5 listings. Here's the average and everything else, what it sold for. If you want to leave any of these pages in, you can always leave them in or take them out. When you take them out, they just come over here, and you can add them right in just by clicking on a plus sign. So you have the ability right now, I was still trying to create it, to leave them in or take them out. Summary of comparable properties right here. If there were pendings and actives, it would show them down here on the same page. These are all just solds. It's a good, nice, clean look to leave in there for yourself. Again, you can customize this however you want. So property analysis, online value analysis. The reason I leave this one in is because I am not afraid of Zillow. Matter of fact, I actually go to Zillow when I do a CMA, and I see what Zillow is showing the houses for, and I include that in the CMA. I haven't been to too many either listing appointments or CMA presentations that turn into listing appointments where that client hasn't already looked at their price on Zillow and has a rough idea what they think Zillow says their house is worth. The reason why I use this report called the online value analysis, and I specifically call this out to my clients, I already have the Zillow, I've already done a search at Zillow. I see what Zillow shows their home is worth, and that's the page right before this in my reports always. And the reason I use this report is because this information comes from Zillow. And as you can see on the sold date, the sold price was $467. Zillow had that house listed at $481. This one sold for $470. Zillow had it at $489. This one $482. So what you're seeing here is the Z estimate in every case was much higher than what the house actually sold for. So now when I'm walking into that client and I'm going to sit down with them, and in this case, they've already looked at the Z estimate and they're thinking their house is worth $480. Maybe we're going to list it around $475 with the expectation it's going to close in this range. And they say, well, Zillow says it's worth $480. Okay, well, let's look at what Zillow said all these homes in your neighborhood were and what they actually closed for. So we could overprice our homes if we went just off the Zillow estimate. It's a great tool to argue, help make your case as to why your pricing should be what it is if it doesn't line up with the Zillow numbers. Similarly, I've had, several years ago, I was going to listings where Zillow had the Z estimate lower than what homes were trending in the neighborhoods. So if we would have used the Zillow number, it wouldn't have been any good. That's why I really like this page. And I know I'm going to go in there. They've already checked on Zillow before you sat down, and they have an idea in their head of what their home is worth. And if you're going to have to talk them off the ledge from $480,000 to more like $475 or $470, this page makes it a lot easier, okay? Z estimates vary up to 4.1% or $19,000 compared to actual MLS prices. That means they're almost 20 grand too high in their neighborhood. And it becomes, again, you say, this isn't my information. Zillow provides this to us in this report. Makes your arguments a lot easier sitting at that table. It's called the online value analysis. Then that seller's net sheet we prepared earlier with a $475 suggested list price, mortgage payoff, title insurance. It does all that. It'll show you what the net is to seller. Now, some brokerages have seller net sheets that they want you to use. That's fine. You can fill out that seller's net sheet, and then I'll show you how you save it, and then you can import it in as a document. You don't have to use this page. Again, this is where you get in that sticky situation of putting in a suggested list price, and then when you get there, maybe the house is more or less, but they're looking at this number right here. So if you want to include a seller's net sheet, you can create one through CMA. If your broker has a specific seller's net sheet that they want you to include, you can include it there. Some agents I know that I've taught over the years, they say, we don't include any seller's net sheet in our CMAs. We only do a net sheet after they get in hard offer. We give them about what certain taxes are going to be, what the commission is and all that other stuff. So they have a ballpark of how much they need to take off in general off of any number that comes in. And we do a hard seller's net sheet once they get a real offer. It's all up to you and what your broker kind of gives you guidelines for. But here's the seller's net sheet that was included that we did on the first page. Again, closing chapter, not a fan of the title pages, so I get rid of those. You have a marketing action plan. If you have a specific marketing action plan, you can put it in here. You can create your own and put it in here. You have, if you're a newer agent and have problems talking, or you're just looking for some better ways to talk about the commission distribution, here's something here you can use. I don't like this form. It's just me personally. I have my own way of talking about commissions. Why you need a real estate professional. These are all documents that were pre-prepared. You can't really edit them. They just come out the way they are. Read through them. Maybe you might not want to keep it in your report, but there's some good information. You can pull it out there and use it when you're talking to them. Intelligent pricing and timing isn't a bad one. It kind of goes through why we need to price it where we do. Most of our offers activity comes within the first 2 weeks. Gives you a little graph right here. Again, it all comes back branded to you. These could be 2 good pages that you want to put in there if you want. First impressions are lasting, staging your home, showing open house checklist. If you want to include that in there, you can. Moving checklist. Again, all great stuff if you want to leave in there. Here are your the value of your home. Every home is different. Location, size, number of bedrooms and bath, features. This is another thing that you could put in there about the value of their home if you want to have it in there. Again, it's up to you to customize how you want. Now, I know in mine, I want to add a couple of custom pages. To add custom pages, once you bring a custom page in, it always stays in here. If you want to add a new custom page, you come up to either your photograph or your initials in the corner, click on that. Down here where it says custom pages, you open up that, and here are all the custom pages that should come up right here. You have custom pages, which are ones you can go in and edit. These are the ones that some of them are preloaded. And then you can pull in things you saved as PDFs. Here's explains what the MLS coverage is for the state of Michigan. For my real source, if you want to pull that one in, you can. Just remember this, if you're going to add a custom page that's a PDF, you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to where it says upload PDF. So if you have a bunch of custom pages, it's a little bit of a long scroll. So you hit upload PDF. It's very simple to do. You go to your desktop, and I already downloaded the page. I'm just going to grab I had a market stats, third properties in Macomb. This is one I had previously from Sterling Heights. I'm just going to show you how it works. You find it on your desktop, the page you want to import. You click on that page. It says open. So I click on open. It is now going to pull it in as a custom page right here. I told you earlier that I pull up a Zillow price. Here's a house I did. I'm going to add this custom page in, even though it's not for the right home, because I'm not going to go through Zillow, pull it up, save it as a PDF and pull it in, just so you can see how you do that. So again, if you want to upload anything that's in a PDF format, you come down here to the bottom, upload PDF, find it on your desktop. You can just pull it in and you'll be all set. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Had I saved the tax information and I wanted to load that in here, I could as well. So here was on another property I did that's already saved. I'll just show you how you add it, and you can hit open, and it will add that in here as a custom page. If you've already done several CMAs and you don't want all these custom pages hanging out there, and you want to kind of clean up your folder a little bit, just click on the garbage cans and it'll delete them out of there, okay? So there are my custom pages. So I'm going to go back to my CMA. Here it is, Wendy Kremer and Alice Miller. We're going to go back into edit. All this, we don't need to do the update listings. We don't need to do, we already just need to go right to customize. You could go to update listings and go through here, but I'm going right to customize because I'm going back to that report. Remember all those pages I took out? Well, because I didn't save the template before I added my custom pages, they all came back in. It automatically, and I did that on purpose so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It pulled in everything that I didn't want. So now I have to go in and make this how I want it. Gotta add the photos. We don't want the adjustments. I don't want the cover title. Oh, I need to add my online value analysis page. I like that. Sold property analysis, suggested list price, seller's net, closing chapter. Everything was in here. I'm going to go back and get it set up before it was. And this is a good thing to remember because it happens even to me a couple of times. I get it how I want. I get out of this page, and when I come back, I'm like, oh, gosh darn it, I forgot to save it all. So I'm going to add in my custom pages. So I come over here to custom pages. I find the ones I want. Here's the market stats page. And here's my Zillow information. Again, it's not for this property. I'm just showing you how to add a custom pages. Your custom pages are here. So you're better off to add your custom pages before you actually start your CMA if you know what they're going to be. So I have them here. Now, remember I said earlier I like to show the Zillow sheet right on by the online value analysis, but it's down here. All you do is click in the middle of the page, and move it up to however you want to reorder these pages, okay? Market stats, I'm going to talk a little bit before we get to the suggested price, what homes are doing in the area. Actually, I'm going to put it before Zillow. I can't remember what this page was about, so I open it up and I see, oh yeah, it's this one right here. I'm going to leave that page in. I put my contact me as my last page, so it's easy to find. Anyways, here's the general order that I like everything in. Our company, I don't want this page in. Again, less is more for me. There's one other page that I do. I created this myself called Your CMA Criteria Explained. Yeah. Before I get to the listings and what I do, I didn't customize it for this report. I go in and I say how many properties there were, how I came up with the property, what I searched for, what came up, what showed, why I use these properties. I give them a little bit of a brief snapshot in words in the report of what I searched, how I searched, and how I came up with the properties. If I'm going to put in a price range, I'll say based on my analysis, you know, here's a range that I recommend the home to be in. And then I have these notes down below. The suggested list price range is based solely on the analysis, and I haven't seen your house yet. It could change. The other thing is the analysis is based on market activity at the time of the CMA was prepared. Market conditions are always changing, and the time you actually list your home, the market may have shifted. I mean, if I do a CMA today and they call me up 3 months later and say we're ready to sell their home, we have to revisit it, okay? And the values may have changed. And then the most important for myself as a realtor is I let them know that the CMA is not an appraisal. And when I use this sheet, I also make sure I point out this line to them at the end, that, and you know, and I read it to them. This is something that I create for every one of my reports, kind of a little synopsis of what the CMA is all about, and I include that page in there. And I include it right after what is CMA, and then your CMA criteria explained is where I include it at. So I like this layout that I have now. This is the one I want to keep. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to name the template so I don't lose it later on. You have a template, which it could just see, save this template 16 pages. There's my standard template is all pages. I'm going to name this the Miller CMA. That's all you have to do. And I hit save. Now, that is the template for this. Those pages will always be there. If I were to detract or add pages to this at this time, you have to go back up and resave the template. Otherwise, it'll automatically default to this. So once you get to this stage, you're ready to do several things with it. And with that, Debbie, I'm going to stop and say, have there been any questions I missed? Or is there anything I need to back up on before I go into the next little part of it?
Actually, we're doing really good with the questions. Everybody has just been attentively listening to you.
So when you're at this part right here, you got everything saved. Make sure you save the template so you don't have to come back and you know, reload and change everything like I did. By the way, remember how I added all the more photos? This is what it's going to look like with all the more photos. And I think one of these listings had 60 some photos. So you're going to have, this is going to be really huge. If you print it out in color, it's going to be a lot of. Another personal thing that I do is I typically go to any one of the office stores, FedEx, Office Supply, Office Depot. If I'm going to print this out and have it in color, I go with a heavier weighted paper. It costs me a little bit more, but when you do a heavier weighted paper, you can do two things. One, you can print on both sides, and two, the ink doesn't bleed through, and it looks much better when you present it in a presentation form, and you're also using less pages. That's why on something like this, like just this one house, here are all their photos, which is great to show, but you're also adding 5 additional pages to your report. Times 5 homes, that's 25, it could be 25 extra pages, and you're paying for those, or if your broker has a limit as to the number of color pages you can copy, you know, this adds up pretty quickly. That's why And these photos aren't quite the same. That's why I have it loaded on my computer. So if they want to see it, I can bring it up and show them some of the homes pictures as we need to. These photos are almost near identical, but you can't edit them. You just want to get a general feel for the homes. Again, I just showed you what it was like. That's why I included the more. I typically don't include this one, and a lot of times I don't even include the photos, the first dozen, because too many times the first dozen photos are basically all the same shots. I just keep the detail page in there. But anyways, that's where we're at now. So we're all done. We're ready to publish. You click on publish, either here or in the corner, does the same thing. And now it brings up your CMA, which is Cloud CMA does a lot of wonderful things for you. So no more questions. Debbie, you want to interject anything while I'm waiting for this to spin around? There you go.
Oh, perfect. Well, one thing I didn't remember if you touched on was the one-line CMA in Paragon.
I did not do the one-line Paragon CMA.
Ah, okay.
I will get to that when I'm done here.
All right.
Thank you for reminding me. So you have several options you can do right here. You can view it as a PDF. You can view it live, which means if you're doing a virtual meeting with somebody, because maybe they don't want you at their home yet. And we used a lot of this, obviously when we weren't allowed to go out and things were a little crazier. You can click on live and then bring that in as part of your presentation if you're doing a Zoom call or a webinar. You can email the report, copy of the PDF as a leak, or copy a live link and send it to them. So if you hit view as a PDF, it brings up the PDF. And here's exactly what your report's going to look like. There are 44 pages in it, 1 of 44. And you just scroll through. Here's what is a CMA. Here's my CMA page explained where I have it all out there. Map. You just make sure you got everything the way you want. I personally find that most people, after looking at this page and the map to see where they're at relative to their homes, they don't spend a lot of time looking at all these pictures. And that's why, again, on this one home, there's 6 pages just for this one home. And they kind of, after the first couple of homes, they stop looking at them. Especially in their neighborhood, they kind of know the homes anyway. So again, this is one that had the remarks that carried over onto another page. So right here, you're picking up an extra page just for a sentence. You can't do anything about it. That's how Cloud CMA does when you do the homes, and it includes the remarks. And now you're going to have the first dozen photos. So here's the first dozen. The first 4 are all of the home. And you really don't get a good feel for the home. You can with all the rest of them. But again, I don't want my potential clients looking at all the other clients' house and seeing how they decorated their home versus what they have. And then again, we have 2 photos just on this page. If you're printing this stuff out and out of your pocket, I figure if I'm going to a $450,000 listing, I want to go in with a really, really nice presentation. So my marketing plan would be in there. I would have it print. That's why I print it out on a heavier weighted paper, because it looks better than someone that just prints it out either at home, on the office printer, at work. That's the real thin paper. I'm going to spend the extra $20 to print out one of these reports, or $15 to print out one of these reports. I get it bound nicely and I get it to my potential clients. So therefore, I'm going to limit a lot of the pages that are on there. Anyways, you go through all the home stuff. Here was that market update I included, so I can talk to them about how homes are trending in the area. Here's that Zillow page that I pulled out. Now, granted, this was as I said, it was for another property I looked at, but I have it. And I said, hey, I noticed that Zillow showing your house at this number. By the way, now these 2 aren't going to line up because this was from a home I did earlier. This is for where we're saying the price range is different. The point is, I said, Zillow says your home's at this number. Here's how Zillow's been doing in your neighborhood. Not really good because they're about 20 grand off. Here's a sold property analysis. Here was the list price at $439 and it sold for $467. So you can see that the trend is to list it at market, what we think the market is going to be, not above like Zillow is saying. So this one, as a great example, was listed at $439 and sold for $467. On the days it was sold, Zillow had it at $481, which is nowhere near $439 when it was originally listed. So You can use this information to however you want when you're talking to them. Here's the page where I had the suggested list price, the seller's net sheet, and then the contact means the last page. So if I like that, that's how you view it as a PDF link, and you can email the report, or we can view it live. If you click on view it live, here are the individual sheets. It kind of becomes like a presentation for you. So if you're going to bring them into your office, you can click on some of these and use them as a way to talk to them. And you can pull it up on your big screen in your conference room, and you can kind of do a little presentation with them and talk to it, or you can send it to them via the links right here. You can email it to them or copy a PDF and send it. You copy the link, and then they can go to it and look at it. Okay? That's basically how you get to it. Now, how you create it, you customize it, and then you publish it. If after you published it, you didn't like the way it looked as a view when you viewed it, you go back to CMAs, and here was my report. Once it's published, you can also just go to any one of them afterwards and pull them up. I'm going to go back to edit. I don't have to go through criteria or listing or I want to go right to customize, so you don't need to click on this green box. I'm going right to customize. And now I want to pull out, and again, because I have it saved as Kramer Miller's CMA, that's how I'm going to, just those pages I originally had are going to come out. I don't want these photos in there. It's like, that's too much. Okay. So it's an unsaved template. So you have to rename it. It's only 14 pages now. I'm going to save it. It's only that. And so now, you hit publish, and let's see how it looks. Be more than 7 pages. We'll see how this one looks. Comparable homes. So now you just have a single sheet for the comparable homes. Makes your report a little cleaner. And then all the rest of the information is still in there. It's 22 pages. It went from 45 to 22 pages. Okay. And we'll go back to the CMAs. Here are all your CMAs that you have. Now, unfortunately, once you save the CMA, like we overrid that other template, so we're not going to have that 45-page one there. We only have this one. The latest, it saves the latest version of that CMA that you have in there. This right here just lets you know a little bit of how many times you looked at it and viewed it and everything else you had to do with it. The drop-down menu, same thing is down here. You can copy as a PDF link, copy live link, view slideshow, or copy the slideshow link. The view slideshow was a feature they used to have that they moved over there to the 3 dots. And what the view slideshow was the one I was trying to get to earlier. This is the one I like. If you bring it into your office and you put your laptops hooked up to your computer in your office, to the big screen in your conference room. Basically, you just click here. It walks you through your report. Here's a summary of the listings. Anywhere there's a black arrow, it takes you back. This one takes you to the sold homes. There's 5 listings. You click down here, and then it'll take you through those homes that you have. A little bit about each home. And if you click on the down arrow, it brings up more information on those. And then if you click on the more photos, this is a good way to pull through it when it's up there on the screen in your conference room doing it as a slideshow. It takes you through all this information where you're talking to your clients. You just go slide by slide. If you hit the home button, it takes you back to this home page right here. So that's called the view slideshow. And that's a nice feature. If you have a conference room where you can hook up to the TV and you want to have a little slicker presentation to somebody instead of going to their house to do it, if you can get them in the office. So that, again, to find that was up here, and it's called the view slideshow. You can also send them the slideshow link. or you can delete the report altogether if you no longer use them. As you see, I got a lot of test classes in here and several other ones I got to go through and get rid of. Buyer tour is a completely another class on how to do buyer tours, which is really cool. You can do property flyers here and some other things like that. Right now, we're just doing CMAs. By the way, if you do go to any of these links, you'll notice if you create a buyer tour, they're all the same up top. Criteria, list them, customize, and publish. They're all the same throughout here. That is going to kind of wrap up how to do Cloud CMA. I suggest you practice with it. First, you go to BS&A, pull up the tax information, make sure who's on title. Then from BS&A, you use that information to do a basic search. Once you go through the search, filter through the properties to see which ones you want to use in the CMA. You click on those, check boxes. You click on the check boxes so that they're all checked, and then we come over here to Actions, and we go to Cloud CMA, and that'll pull them all into the Cloud CMA, and then you start the process from Cloud CMA and go through everything one at a time.
Okay, so I'm going to direct you from here. So your green reports button over on the right-hand side, because remember, you've already found your comps. Scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Oh,
and
where's
there's
this?
folder CMA.
Oh yeah, CMA summary. Okay.
Quick view and the summary view. And of course, the spreadsheet is looking at it. So go ahead and click on that quick view for me.
I will. I'm going to explain it real quickly. What I walk you through was Cloud CMA, which presents a nice presentation. It's very slick. You're going to produce a report when you go to Cloud CMA. You can do a slideshow with it. You can do all that other stuff with it. Through Paragon, we offer a quick way to do a quick CMA. If it's somebody you know, or if you just want some quick general information to give them, the easy way to do it is you do the same process. You make sure that your search criteria is right. You went through the homes. You vetted out the homes that you want to use. In this case, we have the 5 of them. You come over here to the reports. I absolutely use this all the time. Come over here to reports, and you go down to where it says CMA. This is not a Cloud CMA. This is just our Paragon's version of a CMA. You have 3 views here: a quick view, summary, and a spreadsheet. The summary is really nice because it pulls up the address, all this other stuff. It tells you the list price, sell price, low, high, and average, minimum, maximum, and median.
You know, one of the things I added into mine here was right after sold price, I put concessions.
I'm going to show them how to do that in a second.
Awesome, thanks.
So in Paragon, anything that shows up on any of these reports, you can always customize. And what Debbie was saying in hers, right after here, if she wants to add in, if there were concessions, you go up here to where it says customize, fields. Now, the only thing you have to make sure you're working in is which status. And in this case, we're working in this. You have to, if you change one, if you have active, sold, and pendings, you have to go through and add that into all of them, or the columns will be wrong. In this case, it's good because we only have sold, so we're going to go to solds. And we want to add in concessions. You can either scroll through all these over here and try to find how they have concessions coded, or just come up here and start typing in concessions. And here you go, concessions amount, seller concessions type, seller concessions yes or no, sold price, net concessions. So we're going to add concessions amount, click on it, turn blue. We're going to click add, and then we can put it wherever we want. Deb, you said you put it right behind sold price per square foot. So I had one client that was only interested in bedroom sizes. So I completely changed all mine, got rid of a lot of stuff. And we don't need acreage or lot size here because it's in a subdivision where everything's the same. Your built might matter. Below grade square feet, below grade finish shows that they're both on basement. Anyways, you can change anything out of here you want. Days on market, asking price. You can customize all this, but you have to do it in the sold screen. We're going to hit save. And now it recalculates. Here's the concession amount. So this one sold for $485, but they had $3,000 in concessions. So if there were any actives, you know, you wouldn't see that column in there anyways. But that's how you can customize these fields to show in the CMA what your client's really interested in. Maybe they're looking in something that has a certain number of garages. This house has a 4.5 car garage, okay? So maybe they're looking for something that has acreage, so you can put the lot sizes in there. To customize any of these fields, you come up here to customize fields, and it's all, all over here, which you can add in. You got a whole bunch you can add in, and you either remove them or add them. And if you wanted to change the location again, just click and hold and then drag it up to wherever you want to. The other report that comes with CMA is the quick view. The quick view shows the 4 homes, or 5. Yeah, there's 2 pages, 4 per page. And there's the last one. And it'll show a little bit about the home so you can scan across them real quickly. I use this one quite a bit, the CMA summary, when I'm talking to clients. I also might use something like this if we're thinking of writing an offer on a home. Do a quick little search, not so much the BS&A for the names on the title, but mostly to make sure that everything is showing up the way it's supposed to, and I want to use that as my search criteria. When I do my search and I get several homes in the area that are on the market, if we had some actives and pendings that would show up, and I'd say, okay, here's kind of what homes are doing in the area. Let's use this as a basis to write our offer. It helps eliminate the person who comes in that always says, I automatically go, $20,000 less than asking, and then we'll negotiate up. Well, that's kind of a poor strategy in today's market. Again, it's a tool to help you either help win to get a listing or to help be more competitive when you are writing an offer. And again, that's over here under reports, and they're right here under the CMA tab. They're not part of Cloud CMA. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please contact Debbie. She has a lot of great handouts. One other quick thing I want to show you on the screen. If you go over here to the top where it says MLS documents, right up here, you have your name, help, all that, MLS documents. Here is our folder where you can go over here to education. We have 81 files in there. If you click on them.
Most of them are alphabetized, but if something is new, I will let it stay at the top for a little bit.
So yes, thank you very much. Debbie, I'll let you sign us out. I'll still stay on the line.
Excellent. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody that was here today. If you've subscribed, you will certainly get the notification. And then eventually I do like to share them out on Facebook as well. So like Chris said, if you have any questions, just give us a buzz. We are more than happy to help you out, because if you don't know and love the system, it's kind of hard to know and love my rule source. Chris, thank you very much for teaching. I know I roped you in at the last minute. My instructor got pulled away to do something else. Kind of crazy. That's how realtors are.
Yeah, I don't mind this class. I like this one. Well, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it all. And thank you for your time. I hope it's beneficial to you.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chris. Good to see you again.
Bye.